Good afternoon and welcome to our news for today. In two identical messages to the President of the UN Security Council and the UN Secretary General, the Foreign and Expatriates Ministry has affirmed that evidence to the involvement of foreign countries, including Saudi Arabia, Qatar and Turkey, in supporting and arming terrorist groups in Syria has increased, which would contribute to disrupting the prospects of dialogue or peaceful solutions and harming the Syrian state at the material and human levels. The ministry said it possesses confirmed information that certain sides related to Al-Qaeda organization have concluded the bargain between the organization and Turkish and Saudi sides to transfer Al-Qaeda fighters to Turkey and then to Syria. The ministry voiced Syria's hope that the UN Security Council would take a serious move to deter the terrorists and stop the sources of their material funding and moral support, and urge all world countries to shoulder their declared responsibility towards the question of terrorism. The UN envoy al-Brahimi has arrived in Lebanon on an unexpected visit within the framework of his tour of the countries that influence events in Syria.
UN envoy al-Brahimi has met several Lebanese officials who stressed full support for his mission, affirming the need to reach a peaceful solution to the crisis in Syria, as the events there have their great impact on the region in general and Lebanon in particular. In a press conference he held after his meeting with Prime Minister Najib Mikati, al-Brahimi reiterated his call for what he called a truce in Syria on the occasion of the Holy Al-Adha feast, a call he first made in Iran and later repeated in Lebanon. Both countries are known to have supported his mission, a stand shared with them by Iraq, Russia and China. The question is, what did al-Brahimi ask from Turkey, Qatar and Saudi Arabia, and what was the reply of those states that have played a major role in smuggling terrorists into Syria and offering them financial and logistic support? Al-Brahimi mission's success is determined by what ideas he will raise in Damascus, as it is up to the latter to take any relevant decision away from any interventions that infringe on its sovereignty and its people's independent decision-making.
Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Alexander Grushko has reiterated Russia's stand towards Syria, referring to the need to solve the situation in the country with the efforts of the Syrians themselves without intervention from abroad. Addressing the Russian Federation's Council in the presence of a NATO Parliamentary Society delegation, Grushko said Russia is doing its best to start political dialogue and stop the violence in the country, but its partners must also exert all efforts possible to push the Syrian opposition to start dialogue. Grushko added that the world community's major task is confined to the implementation of Annan's plan and the Geneva Agreement and to offering support to the UN envoy al-Brahimi's mission. Grushko expressed deep concern over the smuggling of terrorists and weapons into Syria. On his part, Russian Deputy Premier Dmitry Rogozin said focus should be made on those who supply weapons in order to flare up battles against the legitimate authority, not on Russia, who does not supply any material prohibited by international sanctions. Russia's permanent representative to the UN, Vitaly Churkin, has called on the UN Security Council and the International Criminal Court to avoid taking steps that shake up international legitimacy or play around with the seventh chapter in service of casual interests. During a UN Security Council's meeting dedicated to the development of relations with the Criminal Court, within the efforts exerted to prevent criminals from escaping punishment, Churkin said the Council should not take speedy and unjustified decisions and should not allow irresponsible acts to shake up the international law system. In Aleppo, an army unit destroyed 4 pickup cars equipped with Doshka machine guns near Al-Zura bakery in As-Sakhur neighborhood. Authorities killed a number of terrorists during the operation and destroyed 2 cars, one equipped with Doshka machine guns in Bustan al-Basha quarter. An army unit also eliminated a large number of terrorists, including 5 RPG gunmen near Dawar al-Sha'ar and Al-Salahin neighborhood in Aleppo. In Aleppo, our armed forces clashed with an armed terrorist group that was driving a truck along Damascus-Aleppo highway, killing and arresting dozens of them. Authorities confiscated a car carrying different types of weapons and highly explosive materials, in addition to stolen medical equipment and modern communication devices. In Idleb countryside, our armed forces continue their progress towards the city of Maaret al-Numaan after clearing the villages of Maaret and Maaret of terrorists. The armed terrorist groups were forced to flee north after being inflicted with heavy losses. Our armed forces had a full control on areas surrounding Maaret al-Numaan, destroying 1 mortar and 4 cars equipped with Doshka machine guns, killing a number of terrorists. Meanwhile, citizens in Harem city asserted that foreign TV crews were deployed along the Turkish borders to photograph misleading scenes of armed terrorist groups. In Deir ez-Zor, an army unit eliminated an armed terrorist group near Al-Hal Souk in Al-Jbayliya area. Our army troops killed also a number of gunmen in Rouassat area near Fuad Cinema Street in the city. Meanwhile, an armed terrorist group detonated with an explosive device a gas pipeline extending from Deir ez-Zor to Palmyra and an oil transfer pipeline extending from Al-Omar field to Attain field in Maaret village north of Deir ez-Zor, causing a fire to erupt at the site. Sana reporter quoted an official source at the Ministry of Petroleum and Mineral Resources as saying that the company halted pumping operations through the damaged pipelines, adding that workshops will start repair works to restore operations in the next few days. In Homs, authorities seized 3 anti-tank DNGR missiles, 48 RPG launchers, 15,000 PKC bullets and 5,000 bullets hidden inside a tunnel extended between Al-Ghouta, Nizar Qabbani roundabout to Al-Sina area in Homs, which the terrorists were using to smuggle weapons and ammunition. Meanwhile, an army unit clashed with 2 terrorist groups in Babhoud neighborhood in Homs city, killing scores of their members. Another unit of the armed forces killed a number of terrorists who cut off roads in Al-Husn village in the countryside of Tel Kalakh in Homs. The body of terrorist Ahmed Sheikh Bas was identified among the dead. A unit of the armed forces restored security and stability to Mashara town in Quneitira after clearing it of armed terrorist groups. An official source told Sana reporter that dozens of terrorists were killed and others were injured during the operation, as different sorts of weapons and ammunition seized. In its session today, under the chairmanship of its Speaker, Muhammad Jihad al-Laham, the People's Assembly has returned to the Presidency the draft laws that are related to the establishment of an anti-corruption commission and a supervision and inspection department after the Constitutional and Legislative Affairs Committee found it was not within its jurisdiction to consider them constitutionally, as such procedure violates the Constitution's provisions and are consequently to be referred to the Specialized Supreme Constitutional Court. On his part, Minister of State for National Reconciliation Affairs, Dr. Ali Haidar, said establishing the ministry was a patriotic political project as a result of the current crisis in Syria. He added that the People's Assembly is the most capable side to accomplish the task of national reconciliation. He referred to the presence of a working mechanism between the ministry and the National Reconciliation Committee at the People's Assembly to coordinate their efforts to accomplish national reconciliation among the Syrian people whose civilization dates back to thousands of years ago. A ceremony at Damascus National Museum was held this morning to celebrate reaching a new memorandum that sets the cooperation guidelines for cooperation regarding the archaeological sites.
The Development of National Museums and Cultural Heritage Sites Department at the Directorate General of Antiquities and Museums held a ceremony at the Damascus National Museum to celebrate the new cooperation agreement that was reached with the Regional Planning Commission. The terms of the agreement provide for many areas of cooperation. Some regard the drawing of the strategies for the development of the community-based cultural and historical heritage and the exchange of information and data. The document also has guidelines for the drafting of the accurate maps for the archaeological sites, in addition to linking up the geographical information regarding all the archaeological sites in Syria, as well as laying the foundations for the criteria of the classification of these archaeological sites. During the ceremony, a short film was screened depicting some of the most beautiful Syrian archaeological sites.
This memo will coordinate the work of 3 organizations: the development of national museums and cultural heritage sites, the museums department at the Ministry of Culture, and the regional planning department that will give courses to the employees, and the maps that are being used will also be customized.
With this, we conclude our news for today. Thank you for watching. For more information about Syria and the region and to view our bulletin again, you can always visit our website in English, syriaonline.sy. And now to the latest business and market news with Vani after a short break.